So we're in the home stretch of this whole thing, so who wants to see how things wrap up? And welcome back to Cliffieland. This is Week in Country number 181 on our second attempt of cooking the food of every single country in the world. And tonight we're up to the nation of Uganda. Uganda, a landlocked nation located in East Central Africa on the shores of Lake Victoria, is surrounded by the nations of Kenya, South Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania, and Rwanda. And its food is typical of the region of Africa because of history and geography, a little bit of influence from the British, Arab, and Indian traditions. The dishes will have any number of locally grown fruits and vegetables. Proteins, when you can find them, will be either beef, chicken, pork, fish, fresh fish from Lake Victoria in that region, or dried fish pretty much everywhere throughout the country, and as you'll see in tonight's dish. The use of sesame seeds is common. In terms of starches, you'll find a number of porridges involving millet or mashed green bananas or corn, aka maize. And one local favorite is a thing called a Rolex, which is not a watch, but rather a rolled up street food of eggs. So get it, rolled eggs. It's really cute, interesting to watch. Unfortunately, we're not doing that here, but find one online. You'll be glad you did. In any case, we had to deal with this whole thing last time around, so let's see how things went when we did this whole thing 5 years ago. Well, last time around on the Global Cooking Challenge, I got to cook and stream across 2 nights, and on the first night I made a delicious tilapia dish with a mango salsa, which was wonderful. Unfortunately, we're not doing that here tonight. And I served that with a steamed green bananas, not plantains, which was equally delicious. The reason we're not doing that, though, is because it was super delicious what we did on the second night, which is a dish called Oluwombo, which is a steamed preparation of meat cubes, beef, in this case goat, and we served that with some green plantains and a second dish, which is Ugandan collard greens, or in our case kale, which came out nicely as well. Now, the reason I did goat last time is because a previous time on the Global Cooking Challenge I made goat and I screwed it up so badly that I really needed some redemption. So it was really great, looking forward to doing it again. So let's see what go into tonight's 2 dishes. For our Oluwombo, we'll need 2 pounds of meat. You can use beef, in our case we're using goat, diced. 1 cup of unsalted peanuts ground, 2 onions chopped, 4 tomatoes chopped, or 1 14-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, 1 cube of chicken bouillon, 1 cup of mushrooms diced, we have more like 2 cups here, 1 piece of smoked fish or smoked meat, optional, salt, pepper, banana leaves. We're using 4 plantains. The recipe says 1 plantain per serving. And then for our Ugandan greens, we'll need 500 grams of boo, or kale or collard greens. In this case, we're using kale. Washed, deveined, and shredded. Half a teaspoon of baking soda. 100 grams, or 3.52 ounces of sesame seeds. Salt, and 200 milliliters of peanut paste or peanut butter. You're going to want unsweetened, creamy peanut butter in this case. And optionally, you can use 1 tablespoon of garam masala. If you can make it your own, you will need 1 tablespoon of coriander seeds, 1 tablespoon of cumin seeds, 1 teaspoon of peppercorns, 2 cinnamon sticks, the seeds from 10 whole green cardamom pods, and 10 whole cloves. Well, that looks really good. As I mentioned in the blog, this is a combination of 2 recipes that you'll find in the About section. Also, remember, I'm just a guy doing this. If you want to see people in their countries doing their dishes the right way, check them out. They're all over the YouTube here. So now we need to get cooking. First, if you don't have it already, make your garam masala. Into a saute pan, add the coriander seeds, cumin seeds, peppercorns, cinnamon sticks, seeds from the green cardamom pods, and the whole cloves, and toast the spices over medium-low heat in a dry skillet until fragrant. Run through a spice grinder and bottle. Then heat a small amount of peanut oil in a skillet. Saute the goat until browned on all sides and set aside. Add more oil and saute the onions until softened. Add the tomatoes. Add the chicken bouillon cube. Add salt and pepper. Add the mushrooms, the smoked fish, optionally 1 tablespoon of tomato paste, 1 tablespoon of the fresh garam masala, and simmer for 8 to 10 minutes. Cut the plantain leaves into 10-inch rectangles. Place a portion of the meat mixture in the middle of each leaf. In our case, since our leaves were torn, we have chosen to wrap them in parchment paper, which can allow the steam to pass through. Set up a Dutch oven with water in the bottom and add the steam attachment. Heat the water and add the packets to the steam attachment. Place your peeled green plantains on top, cover, and let steam for 2.5 hours, adding water every 30 minutes to make sure it doesn't dry out. Then for the collard greens, boil your water with half a teaspoon of baking soda. Add the collard greens, or in our case, kale. Cook until the greens turn a deep yellow and are soft, but they actually won't turn yellow if you use the baking soda, and remove from heat. Then in a bowl, mix the sesame seeds with the peanut butter and add 200 milliliters of cooking water to the mix and stir to combine. Add the mixture to the pot and continue to cook until a sauce thickens. Well, it was really delicious, I must say. The goat cubes were wonderful, they were tender, they fell off the bone. Last time around, you'll notice if you read the blog that I went through the trouble of chopping them off the bone because goat cubes have these irregular bones in them. And that was a lot of trouble and probably not worth it because normally it's eaten with the bones, you just pick them out before you eat them. It's cooked 2.5 hours, so it really is kind of like fall off the bone. So do that. But it was very, very tasty. The goat was tender, it was delicious, which was fantastic. It had nice umami flavor from the mushrooms. The garam masala and other spices gave it a nice depth of flavor, and it had a bit of smoky flavor from the trout, or if you're doing this traditionally, dried fish. So I'm gonna give that one 4 out of 5 globes. My only complaint is directed at myself in that I didn't season it enough going in. I should have added a good deal more salt because once I did, the flavors really did come alive, so word to the wise on that. In terms of the greens, like I said, I used kale instead of collard greens, and there is a little caveat to this because I didn't realize till after I cooked the whole thing that in the original recipe it calls for that bicarbonate of soda, aka baking soda, in the water, and I didn't know why, because that gave the dish kind of a metallic flavor, which is kind of unpleasant. The reason why is that the baking soda helps keep the greens green when you cook them, which is good for looks, not so much for taste. I found that if you want to keep the greens green, without the baking soda you can blanch the greens and or use some lemon in them. Try it yourself, see how that works out, because I'm sure it'll taste a whole lot better. Nonetheless, despite that flavor, the peanut butter and the sesame seeds along with the greens gave it a nice kind of groundness to the dish, which I enjoyed. So I'm gonna give that one 3 out of 5 globes. Next time around, if I feel to try it, I'm gonna try to do those greens differently. So we only have 2 more African countries to go of 54 African countries on the entire continent, but next week we'll leave Africa and head north to Europe to have the food of Ukraine. See you then. These are not my original recipes. Links to the original recipes and their authors can be found in the About section. If you have any thoughtful feelings or helpful suggestions about what I'm doing, feel free to sound off in the comments here. If you like what you see, like, subscribe, hit that bell to be notified when these videos are posted, and of course you can always follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Thanks for coming by. See you next time. Happy eating.